Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. How are you doing, everyone watching Hotspot right now, wherever you are? My name is Webb, and thank you so much for tuning in to our YouTube channel, Hotspot, where we get to talk about the hottest issues or topics in the world of sport. My name is Webb, and guess what? Today, we are starting off with a hot topic in the world of football or in the world of sport globally. And I will be trying to pick your minds and giving you my opinion about something major, because in a few weeks we could be having a Premier League winner, and that might be a team that last won it decades ago. The question we're asking tonight is, will Arsenal win the Premier League? Well, in my view, I think they will, and I will be giving you my reasons, but you can as well tell me what you think by first subscribing to our channel. That's Hotspot. Also, share the link and call upon your friends, your colleagues, and everyone you care about to do subscribe to this channel, because there is a lot of sports talk we are going to be delving into. It's certainly an exciting time, a great moment to be alive, and of course, it's one of those seasons you feel there will be excitement. The English Premier League is never short of exciting scenarios and incidences and moments, and trust you me, with the next 4 and 3 games for certain teams, we are going to be seeing in the English Premier League until the 28th of this month of May, when this season comes to an end. Trust me, it is going to be a marathon. Go in our comment section, slide down there, and answer the question you're seeing right there on the far side of your screen, where I'm asking what is your score prediction for Arsenal against Brighton. That game will be taking place on Sunday, but also just give me your opinion on why you think Arsenal will or will not win the English Premier League title, which they last won in 2003-2004. Well, let's get straight into it. The question is, why Arsenal will win the English Premier League title? Well, there are so many doubters about Arsenal's abilities to win the title. Of course, given how they slumped and, had were in cruise control of the Premier League race, the title race, until a certain point when, something, again, jitters probably you would say, but also, of course, the might of the mighty Manchester City, a team that has certainly bossed this English Premier League for the past couple of seasons since Pep Guardiola took over. The huge investments Sheikh Mansour has made in the club, the right players, the recruitment they have had, and of course the football, the beautiful panache and stylish football they were playing with Pep Guardiola. And even the seasons when Man City didn't win the English Premier League title, certainly they were looking like, the whole team. They have been in their element for quite a while. But this season, Arsenal comes up, and if you ask me, punched above their weight, held them to their own to take cruise control for the most part of the season. But now, when they are approaching the home stretch, things are beginning to fall apart. Well, what's happening? Many are losing faith in the Mikel Arteta project and how far they can go this season. In fact, many feel Arsenal might not win a single trophy this season. Perhaps to some that will be failure. To me, in whichever way you look at it, even if Arsenal did not win any of their remaining games, for me, I think these young players and Mikel Arteta have done tremendously well this season. For me, success for Arsenal would not be just winning the trophy. And I know the fans might not want to hear this. They might want to say, well, we've not been winning titles for a long time. Well, the FA Cup is something Arsenal was winning for, several years with Arsene Wenger in the evening of his career. But in terms of major trophies, the Champions League that they have never won, but also the English Premier League that they last won so many years ago, many will feel they need a trophy. But let's be honest. At the start of this season, to be honest, Mikel Arteta and Arsenal did not look like a team you would expect to compete for the title, the English Premier League title, given the competition. If you ask me, if you go player per player, on paper, Manchester United looked like they had better players, even with the signings they made in the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro and Rafael Varane and back then Cristiano Ronaldo. You felt that Manchester United, player per player, position per position, certainly had better players than Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, meanwhile, was doing a silent job of recruiting the right players that did not have so much of the attention and, everyone looking at them and focusing on them, but was setting up something right with the technical director of the team in Edu. So if you ask me, player per player, Man United better players than Arsenal. Manchester City, do I even need to emphasize how good Manchester City players are in every position? All their goalkeepers can be number one goalkeepers that any other club in the English Premier League. You think about their backline, a player like Laporte playing for the most part on the bench. He's one of the best defenders in the world. In fact, he's a world-class defender. So I cannot go into justifying why Manchester City has got better players by far than Arsenal. You talk about teams like even Chelsea. I think in certain positions they have better players on paper, or players that look to be better on paper than most of the Arsenal players. But Arsenal have gone on to show that if you have a good manager and you have a good unit and an organized project, you can actually beat teams that have out and out world class players. We can debate, and perhaps you can slide into in the comment section and tell me if you ask me. And I was having a conversation with my friends saying that if Arsenal win this Premier League title, it will, for me, be mostly about Mikel Arteta. It will speak volumes about how great a manager Mikel Arteta is. And not to say, take nothing away from these players and, the talent they have got. They have got talent. But Arsenal, for me, and this is the argument I was having with my colleague, I was saying, Arsenal does not have more than 3 world-class players, if you ask me. Well, they might turn into world-class in a few years, but for me, you can mention probably 2 or 3 world-class players in that Arsenal team. Maybe Saka, maybe is world-class, and maybe the captain, Odegaard, who is also looking world-class lately. Before, you wouldn't say that about him. Thomas Partey can as well, of course, pass for world class, but all the other players in this Arsenal team are not players you feel are world class, and you know what I mean by world class. So for this team to be dominating the Premier League like they have for in the past couple of games, staying top of the pile for all those months, and looking the way they are, beating teams the way they are, fighting the way they are, for me it speaks volumes about Mikel Arteta and Edu and how much work they are putting in and how good they are actually at their jobs. And for me, that's one thing I want to put clear. So whatever happens at the end of the season, for me, it's success for Mikel Arteta. It's a huge success for the Arsenal project and whatever they are working on there at the Emirates Stadium. But away from that, as to why I think Arsenal will win the English Premier League this season, look at the title race. The title race certainly is now between the Gunners and the Citizens. And if you look at how the table is now, with Manchester City having 1 game in hand, playing 34, and Arsenal having played 35 games, Manchester City are topping the pile with 82 points, just a point ahead of Arsenal. And if you look at the remaining games for both teams, and what perhaps in football we all know is a game that is based so much on mentality and the mentality of the players and what's at stake and the psyche that you get given the situation at the time of that match. If you look at both teams, I will be thinking that if you look at both camps, the Arsenal and Man City camp, in terms of focus and concentration and desire, I feel there is a bit of divided desire and attention within the Man City players and the coach, perhaps Pep Guardiola himself, than you would expect at Arsenal. Why? Manchester City are still in a seemingly fruitful Champions League race. Remember, they have never won a Champions League title. I don't think Pep Guardiola was bought for records on records of millions of dollars, for huge sums of millions of dollars to win Manchester City the Premier League title. Manchester City has been winning the Premier League title. It's not what they've been looking for. If they had a strategic plan, I think they are past the stage of winning the Premier League, because truth is, every season that comes in and comes out, Manchester City are one of the favorites to win the Premier League title, at least in the past seasons. So in terms of the Premier League, whereas yes, they do want to win the Premier League, it's the most exciting league in the world, I think the reason Sheikh Mansour broke the bank to bring in the best coach in the world was to win him the Champions League that they haven't won. So at a point when they are in the semi-finals, had a good first game in that 1-0 draw against Real Madrid in the Camp Nou. They have a return leg coming. That will be on the 17th. You think right now, where will their focus be? I think obviously Pep Guardiola will be thinking more about the Champions League, because even if Manchester City, to be honest, finished second in this Premier League, it wouldn't be the worst of performances. I don't think Pep Guardiola would be worried about his job. Not that he should anyway, even if they didn't win anything, which can happen, which perhaps actually might be the case. But not that he would be sacked. His job would be on the line. I do think Manchester City will still, want to keep Pep Guardiola around for perhaps another 5 or 7 seasons, because he's building something. He's turning them into a consistently big team and recruiting fans for them with their style of play and what have you. But in terms of the hunger to win the Champions League title, I feel the situation which both teams are at right now favors Arsenal, because Arsenal has got one title to concentrate on, one trophy to concentrate on in the Premier League, and they have got on paper seemingly easy games. First of all Arsenal's 3 remaining games are at home. That's a huge advantage at the Emirates Stadium. And I think that is a huge, massive advantage for them to be playing all these games at home. They have got Brighton on Sunday. That they'll be playing on Sunday the 14th, the day after tomorrow. That's the game I'm telling you to slide into the comment section and predict. They have got Nottingham Forest. Of course, Nottingham is away. Well, 2 are at home and 1 is away. I beg your pardon. Nottingham Forest is away. They've got Nottingham Forest. That's another easy one. I think they should be able to win on the 20th of May. And then they have got Wolves at home on the 28th of May. That's the final day of the season. So for me, looking at their fixtures, I mean, it's all in their hands. The ball is in their court, to be honest. The ball is in Mikel Arteta's court in terms of winning their games. Look at Manchester City on the other side. And these are their next opponents. Manchester City, who are topping the pile with 82 points, have got a game in hand. They play against Everton at Goodison. That's an interesting game because the first leg, remember, ended 1-1. And so if Everton actually come out, guns blazing the way they did in that game against Brighton when they won by 5-1, you get a feeling they can actually shock Manchester City. Also considering that Manchester City, like I said earlier in my preamble, have got a big, more perhaps important clash in the Champions League in mind. So you expect a bit of rotation because 3 days after the 14th, they have got to be playing against Real Madrid in the Champions League. And that's a home game that they will feel they need to win at home to qualify to the next stage, to the final. So for me, I feel that perhaps can work in Everton's favor. And if they put in there, they can get a salvage something at Goodison against Manchester City. So that's advantage for Arsenal. Talk about their next game on the 21st of May after they are playing Real Madrid during the midweek. The weekend comes and they're facing Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are out of their element. They're out of sorts. They're disorganized. They're everything you can want to call them. But when it comes to big grudge matches like this, players don't need to be on form. They don't need any motivation. There is a natural psyche. Certainly, a game between Manchester City and Chelsea is never going to be a walk in the park, at least for the players. And even the coach, Frank Lampard of Chelsea, knows. So you feel they can actually spoil the party for Manchester City, even if they have nothing much to fight for. Of course, they're also fighting to stay safe. But in terms of competing to win, what that we know Chelsea for, there is not so much for them to compete for. But they do know they are playing to survive. Each game counts for Chelsea. But also the magnitude of the game, it's a rivalry. It's a big rivalry. These are big teams. Chelsea is a big team. Never mind where they are now on the pile. They don't just want to go to Manchester City, to the Etihad Stadium, and just be whitewashed. So you think that's another game that Man City can get issues in. Then, of course, the final game will be against Brentford in the Premier League on the 28th of May. Perhaps, again, another not so obvious, but you feel that one they should win. But for me, looking at the whole fixture list for Manchester City and Arsenal, I feel it sort of favors Arsenal to go all the way and win all their games, and maybe hope Man City will drop some points. Maybe perhaps not losing one game. If they do, it will be good for Arsenal. But perhaps drawing 2 games, and again, that would be advantage for Arsenal. So for me, I do feel it's going to be an interesting end to this race, but I still think Arsenal might have a slight edge to nick it this time and win it for the first time. And again, football should be happy about that, because if you look at these young players and the young manager they have in Mikel Arteta and what they have done, they certainly do deserve some bit of credit for what they are trying to do and achieve. But of course, you can slide into the comment section and of course let me know what you do think. It's certainly always interesting to talk about Arsenal because this is one of the biggest teams in the world, and Arsenal fans always want to believe until the end. And before, Arsenal fans used to celebrate beating Manchester United, and even if they didn't go on to win the title, they would know beating Manchester United would always be a sweet thing for them. But this time around, you feel a title is something they are looking at, and certainly Mikel Arteta will hope he delivers that. But again, continuing to talk about this Arsenal team, as I do remind you to subscribe to the channel. That's Hotspot. Click the subscribe button, as we do get underway with this long journey. It's going to be an interesting journey to the final, to the 28th of May, the final day of the English Premier League season, because we will be here to talk about all this stuff, and of course how Arsenal and all these other teams are in the chase. Of course, we'll talk a bit about the race for top four, because it's becoming exciting. Again, Manchester United sort of becoming lackluster in their performances, dropping it a bit. And Liverpool are believing again that they can actually go all the way and finish among the top four. It's going to be interesting again to see how that does happen. So again, you can go on and let me know about that top four race. Maybe still in the section, the commentary section, the comments section. I will be maybe picking a few of your questions and comments and picking on those when next we do come here to talk about the Premier League. But today, the biggest talk is about Arsenal and why Arsenal will win the English Premier League. I'm not an Arsenal supporter per se, but I do believe this is their season. They do deserve it. You think about the way they play, how they don't rely on one single player to score goals. Look at a player like Martin Odegaard scoring more than 10 goals from outside the box. The confidence he has in taking those shots, even trying out new things. Look at players like Gabriel Jesus and how much he has contributed to this Arsenal team. Even when he's not scoring goals, you see what he does, his hold-up play, and how he links, the midfield to the attacking line and opens spaces up for the midfield to come in and score goals. I mean, there's something right, you feel, about this Arsenal team. And also, I feel like Arsenal plays the modern game, the game for the times. They do play with passing, style and finesse, but also there's a certain bit of directness and hunger to go to the goal that I feel is exciting. And I think that is where the game of football has gone. You need to be pass the ball, but be direct in your passing. Don't dilly-dally and pass the ball forever like Manchester United, Louis van Gaal's Manchester United used to do some at certain points, or even Pep Guardiola's Barcelona with their tic-tac that sometimes used to get so much. But you also see that at Man City, he has adjusted to add a bit of more directness to his tic-tac. So it's again for me a good observation that Arsenal are playing a game that I think fits these times. Is the perfect game for for 2023 in the Premier League. Pass the ball for fans to enjoy. Arsenal fans always love to see their team passing the ball and being expansive, dominating play, but also they want to see that pace and directness and hunger for goals. And that's why Arsenal games, actually, for those of you who want to play some money, to stake some money, for me, I've been telling people, advising people who want to play, to bet and play some stake on Arsenal games. I've been advising people to always actually go for either overs, more than 2 or 3 goals to be scored in an Arsenal game, or either sides to score. That's what in most cases, that's how I advise people to bet on Arsenal games, because Arsenal are not afraid to try out things, to express themselves. These young players have been given a lot of confidence, and it shows you the level of trust that Mikel Arteta has got in all these players. And that's so important. If you're a footballer and you're going to perform at the highest level, you need a certain level of trust from your manager. And for me, that's one thing that Mikel Arteta has done to these players. Look at a player like Bukayo Saka. Even when he misses a penalty, Mikel Arteta will trust him again to take another. Look at the captain, Martin Odegaard. Who knew that Martin Odegaard, to be honest, had the character to be the captain of Arsenal leading them to what could be their first title since the 2003-2004 season in the English Premier League. It shows you how much trust. I don't think even Odegaard himself believed he could lead this team, could be the captain of Arsenal in this day and age, and he's doing it well. And you see he's built the character to go on and lead that team. I feel that for me is big credit to Mikel Arteta and what he has done with this team. It shows you a lot about how good a manager he is, the way he has assembled his players, the signings he's making with Edu. You see they are properly selecting their players, and you see that this is a team that is certainly trying to compete for the title. But yeah, that is what Arsenal fans, most Arsenal fans will want to see, seeing Arsenal lift that title, and it certainly will be very exciting. I do remember, I know countries like Uganda in Africa, Arsenal is a very supported club. I do remember when Arsenal beat Manchester United in Uganda, certain sections of Arsenal supporters were arrested because of celebrating and and making processions all throughout a city in the eastern part of the country in Jinja. So you can imagine what will happen across the country when or if Arsenal wins the Premier League title. It's certainly going to be interesting. But again, like I said, they have worked for it. You want to give credit to these young players and what Mikel Arteta has done with them, trying to give them the belief and the confidence and the hunger, the desire. Now they feel like they can win the title. And for me, that's the most important thing if you're going to come out there and compete. But let's get proper into that prediction, talking about that game. Arsenal, as you can see right there on the right-hand side of your screen, asking you how you think it's going to end between Arsenal and Brighton. That game is going to be taking place on Sunday. Brighton are 7th on the pile. And the past meeting, the reverse fixture ended 4-2 in favor of Arsenal. So you feel Arsenal playing at home this time will be more confident coming into this one. But again, like I said, they are playing one of, I think, the surprise packages of the year, of the season rather, in Brighton. So they don't know which Brighton will turn up. They can come out there and just completely spoil the party for them. They can't take them for granted in any way. Another issue that I do feel we should perhaps look at when you talk about this Arsenal team is the collective backing that Mikel Arteta and the entire team have got from the legends of Arsenal. And when you talk about the biggest clubs in the world, legends have got a huge role to play in the club and what it does go on to achieve. Even if they're not playing, they are word man, because big clubs always respect legends. That's why when you go, and I had a chance to visit the Emirates Stadium, when you go there, you will see portraits of the legends of the club, the likes of Dennis Bergkamp, the likes of Thierry Henry, Tony Adams. Legends of the club are so important in most of these biggest clubs in the world, like Arsenal. And unlike Manchester United, where I feel the legends of United have always been divided on on their past managers. Perhaps not so much with Ten Hag. Most of them believed in Ten Hag, but mostly I feel Arsenal legends have been fully supportive of Mikel Arteta. Talk about Ian Wright. Talk about Thierry Henry. Talk about Dennis Bergkamp. Name them. They have been very supportive of Mikel Arteta and the players. And you will listen to players like Thierry Henry talk about Bukayo Saka and how good he can be and his abilities. And you see that the entire Arsenal fraternity is pushing behind and supporting from behind. The 12th player is there in every sense to push from behind and ensure that Arsenal does get this across the finish line. And for me, I think that's very important. And again, that's another thing that I think will play a lot into this Arsenal team and how far they can go in terms of this season and how much they can win. So it's going to be a very interesting time. It's going to be a very interesting season for Arsenal. Of course, the 28th of May, we will know who lifts it. That's if Arsenal doesn't bottle it, because it might be decided before the 28th of May if Arsenal does squander the chance to beat teams like Brighton and Nottingham Forest, where I think by the time they get to play against Wolves at home, it will be done if Man City are winning their games on the other side. But again, the Premier League never ends so easy like that. It's always, that's why it's the league we're all hungry for, because it always brings you something. It comes with something different and something new. This time around, you wonder what's going to happen at the end of the season. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. But you've got my reasons why I think Arsenal will win the English Premier League. Go into the comments section. I will be getting your reasons as well. But also, of course, most importantly, subscribe to our channel, because we are going to be here to talk sport, and only the hot sport with me, Webb Daniel. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Subscribe, share, and of course, encourage your guys and everyone you care about to come and subscribe to the hot spot, as we get to talk about all the hot spot there is to talk about. Thank you so much. And well, have a very, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. And well, keep enjoying sport right here on the hot spot. Thank you.